Welcome very much, everybody, to what is the second TeacherMatic community webinar. We held the first one last term. We do one of these a term. My name's Peter Kilcoyne. I'm the Managing Director of Innovative Learning Technologies, which is the company behind TeacherMatic. I know a lot of the people here, but for those of you that don't know me, I'm very much from further education. I started in FE in 1986 as a lecturer at Brixton College and worked in a number of roles, most latterly at Heart of Worcestershire College, where I was the ILT director and set up the Blended Learning Consortium that I know that many of your colleges would be involved in. For the last year and a half, I've been working with a small group of amazing colleagues on building and rolling out the TeacherMatic platform. So what I'm going to do in my session, 20 minutes or so, this one will be, is firstly, I'm going to just explain what today's about, what's happening today. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of what for us at TeacherMatic has been an incredible year. It's been adopted far more than we ever dreamed. So I want to talk a little bit about what's happened over the last year with TeacherMatic. I want to talk a bit about the impact that TeacherMatic is making in colleges, schools and universities around the country. And finally, I'm going to talk about some of my favourite new developments. There's some really exciting new functionality that is in TeacherMatic. My colleagues Ollie and Jeff will be going into more details on some of these later on, but I just want to give you some initial headlines. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat and my colleagues will keep an eye on them and will feed them through to me either between slides or at the end. Okay, so what's happening today? We've got a very full agenda. We're running from 12 till 3. So I'm doing the introduction. And then something that we're going to do as a regular feature at these webinars is we're going to do a deep dive into one particular generator. And Isam Babukam, who I'm sure many of you will know, will be doing a deep dive into the rubric generator. Following that, we've got community contributions. So 4 colleges have very kindly volunteered to do 15-minute presentations on how they're using TeacherMatic. So we have colleagues from South Staffordshire College, Hull College, Gareth College, Swansea, and I've gone blank now. City of Westminster College. Yeah, so we got contributions from 4 colleagues showing some really exciting practice, and it's lovely for us to see how different colleges are implementing TeacherMatic, and we can all learn from the things that each other are doing. So I think you'll find that really exciting. Following that, my colleague Oliver Stern will be taking a session. Oliver leads our technical team at TeacherMatic, and he will be giving you some technical updates and answering any technical questions that you may have. And following that, my colleague Jeff Elliott will be talking about developments, new developments and upcoming developments in the TeacherMatic platform. And we'll be asking you for ideas and suggestions as to how we can improve existing generators and what new generators you would like to see. And then following on from that, we will have an open forum. Okay, so what a year it's been for us. We launched TeacherMatic less than a year. It was about 2 weeks time, it will be a year from now that we launched it. When we launched it, we had 18 generators and we've now got 70 generators. These have all come from ideas from the community where people have suggested things to them, apart from one or two that have been our ideas, but the vast majority of them have been things that colleges have suggested and requested, and then we've implemented. We've now got, and we all keep having to pinch ourselves when we see this figure, and it's going up pretty much every day, over 115 organisational subscriptions to TeacherMatic. We're working with JISC on 2 evaluation projects. They're evaluating TeacherMatic with a group of FE colleges and also with a group of universities. And we've got pretty much half of all of the further education colleges in the UK are using TeacherMatic. In addition to the further education colleges, we've also got a number of universities, schools. We have people from offender learning, training providers, and adult and community learning sectors. So we're really thrilled how quickly TeacherMatic has been adopted around the UK, and we're also looking at very much pushing it internationally as well. So what sort of impact is TeacherMatic having? Now, we're a small team and we are so focused on supporting you, onboarding you, developing new generators, improving the platform, that we've not had as much time as we'd like to ourselves to really systematically measure impact. So this is very much, we've done one survey and we get an awful lot of feedback from yourselves, and we talk to people. We'll be getting some more systematic feedback soon through the JISC evaluations. But we certainly know that TeacherMatic is doing some amazing things in the colleges, schools and universities, etc. using. So we know that it's saving time. It's saving, in many organisations, very significant time. And I'll talk a bit more about that later. We know from the feedback that we're getting that it is having a real impact on teachers in terms of reducing stress because they're less busy, and improving their well-being, and that's just wonderful to hear. And again, I'll show you a really good example of that soon. We hear that it's been really useful for giving people creative new ideas, and I'm sure we'll come up and see some examples of that from our case studies that are being shown later on from our 4 colleges. Something that we weren't expecting, we hadn't even thought about, is, and we've heard this quite a lot of time, that it enables people to pivot in class. So, if you find, as all teachers do, that you're teaching a new session and you've used all your stuff and you've still got another 20 minutes to go, you can create new activities, discussions, classroom questions, etc. If you're struggling to explain something, you can use the analogy generator to get some analogies. It can be used for differentiation, so somebody can, if they've got a group of more able students who are working through the content quicker, they can quickly generate, using the slider, an advanced quiz for them to take part in. So that's great time. We're hearing again and again that teachers are enabled to spend more time working with individual students, and many students, as we all know, particularly in further education, have a lot of challenges in their life, and it enables you to spend more time, and hopefully that will over time improve retention and success. And finally, because particularly the multiple choice question generator, it makes it so easy now to do multiple choice questions, and that is our most used generator. It's much easier for you to do formative assessments on a regular basis. So this is a couple of AI generated images I did a week or so ago, just to sort of illustrate this. This is a sort of how I view a sort of a before and after of using TeacherMatic. A very stressed further education teacher with a pile of marking, and then the time saved that using TeacherMatic puts someone in a much more relaxed state of mind. So I'm not sure if Lauren's in the room today, but I think perhaps the most impactful moment for me in the last year with the whole TeacherMatic journey was when I met Lauren. And Lauren is a teacher at South Gloucestershire and Stroud College, and I was doing a development day there in early November. It was a cross-college training day. I did a presentation on TeacherMatic, and at the end of that, Lauren came down to speak to me, and she said, I want you to know that TeacherMatic has saved my job for me. I wasn't coping, and TeacherMatic has helped me carry on in teaching. And I asked if she was happy for me to video talking about that and share that, and she was very happy to do that. And so this is just a short clip of Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Talking about TeacherMatic.
At College as a media teacher. TeacherMatic is one of the reasons why I'm still a teacher. I was going to leave, then I got introduced to TeacherMatic, and the software has helped me so much in being able to understand things as a neurodivergent teacher, being able to give me inspiration and support me in my lesson plannings.
Okay, so that's a short clip of Lauren talking about how TeacherMatic has made a huge impact for her. Okay, we did a survey last year, and that showed that on average, people were talking about, when we asked, it's a multiple choice question, how many hours per week are you saving with TeacherMatic? And the average that came out from that was 3.8 hours. Now, that seems to be sort of backed up with a number of individual surveys that colleges have done themselves, though some colleges are actually reporting significantly higher figures than that. So this is a quote from Simon Kay, who's the Director of Digital and Professional at SDS College, and you say this software has been a game changer for many staff, saving those using it well upwards of 6 to 8 hours in preparation and research time per week. And Max Mullaney and colleagues from City of Westminster College will be talking later. I did a presentation with Max and his colleagues at a sports conference, and they, when I was talking about 3.8 hours a week, looked at me somewhat surprised and said, we're saving far more time than that. And so when TeacherMatic is implemented in a systematic way, we know that that sort of 4 hours can definitely be increased. And we also all know how busy teachers are across all sectors, and so it can make a real impact on their lives. And so a few more quotes here. I've got my Sunday afternoon back from Sarah Seller. Jeanette Hart, who's the Vice Principal at Guernsey Institute, just sharing some of my favourite bits of feedback here. And this is from John Rafferty, who's a Vice and Deputy Principal at Glasgow Clyde College. You can see what he's saying there. Okay, so the part of the presentation in many ways I'm most excited to share with you now is some new developments with TeacherMatic. And again, this is a little AI generated image I've put in there. And we've got some really great new tools in TeacherMatic that have just come out. And so if you haven't seen this yet, this is something that we've been asked for pretty much from day one. It was quite technically difficult to implement, and Oliver and our technical team are just amazing. And while doing all of the other upgrades and improvements, about a week ago, we finally got, and it took about 6 weeks getting Microsoft, bouncing things to and fro with Microsoft before they verified this. But you can now sign in with your Microsoft credentials. And if you're in a college, depending on how your college works, just click on that and you're straight in, because it already knows that you're logged into Microsoft. So that is a real game changer, we know, and for onboarding new colleges is going to make that simpler. Okay, something else that we've been asked for from day one, and this is hot off the press, is that you can now copy a YouTube URL, paste that into the URL box in a quiz box, in the multiple choice quiz, and that will generate multiple choice questions from the subtitles in the YouTube video. So basically, you grab the URL. So this is just something I just did 20 minutes ago. This is from the BBC News site on the Japanese moon lander surviving a lunar night. So I copied and pasted that URL in there, and there are a series of multiple choice questions based on that YouTube video. So think what you can do with that. You can embed a YouTube video into your Teams or into your VLE, and then have an associated set of multiple choice questions, kind of as a check that the students are watching that video and that they've learned from what's on there. So we're really excited about that. My favourite new generator is the Ask Someone Famous. And this is one of the few generators that I can say was something that I suggested to the team. So I'm really pleased about this. And what this enables you to do is to pull up any famous person from history, or a current person, or it can be a fictional person, and ask them questions. We've got a related one, Ask an Expert, and we see this one as for use live in the classroom. So you stick TeacherMatic up on the whiteboard, you project the computer onto the whiteboard, you get TeacherMatic up, you get the Ask Someone Famous up, and so, for example, I used to be a psychology teacher, so I could bring in Sigmund Freud, I could bring in Jerome Bruner, Watson, Skinner, famous psychologists, and get my students to interact with them. You see, so I've just put a range of famous people up there with examples of who you can interact with. You'll recognise hopefully most, if not all, of those. And so here is this in action. So this is one of my first goes with this, and I decided I'd ask Henry VIII a question. And I thought, what do I want to ask Henry VIII? Why did you have so many wives? Click on generate and give it a minute or two. Not a minute or two, sorry, 30 seconds or so. And we'll then get an answer. And there we go. I'm King Henry VIII, and I had multiple wives for various reasons during my reign. Initially, my desire for a male heir. And then he goes through all of the issues and why he was able to, he divorced, beheaded, etc. His 6 wives. So that's an example of that. I'm just going to show you a few others that I've done recently. So I thought, let's ask Nelson Mandela how you would promote peace in Palestine. And if you read that, you can hear that in Nelson Mandela's voice. I think that's very much what you would expect him to say. Next, I thought, let's ask Einstein, how did you come up with your theory of relativity? I'm not going to read out, do it in my German accent, but you can see there we've got Einstein now answering that question. Next, I thought it'd be interesting to ask Jane Austen where she came up with her ideas for Pride and Prejudice. And there's AI Jane Austen's answer to that. And then finally, thinking about maybe sports teachers, asking Serena Williams, what part does diet play in your training regime? And there's an answer from Serena Williams talking about the part of diet. So I hope you can see this is an incredibly powerful and interactive tool, and make sure that all of your colleagues who are using TeacherMatic are aware of this, and get them to give it a go and to use it in the classroom. Now, the next example I'm going to show you, I'm not sure if Kirsty Ingleson is in the room, but this came from Kirsty, who did a post last week on LinkedIn where she was talking about how she was bringing Vicky Pollard, and I'm sure some of you will remember Vicky Pollard from Little Britain, into her class and getting Vicky Pollard talking about her views on education. So I thought I would ask Vicky Pollard what her views are on Brexit, and there you go. Again, I'm not going to try and do the voice, but if you read that, you can probably do the Vicky Pollard voice in your head. And you can see that what this does, it does produce a very authentic kind of script that relates to what Vicky Pollard or those other people that we've looked at in there. So do have a play with that one. We're really excited about that generator. Okay, so more new generators. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the TeacherMatic page, you'll see that we've got a suite of generators, Survey Creator, Likert Survey Creator, and Research Methodology to support you in doing surveys or coming up for ideas for research. We've got a Reflective Practice generator, a Start of Lesson generator, and literally hot off the press yesterday is our reference writer. So a whole load of new generators, and as Jeff will explain to you later on, we've got quite a few more in the pipeline that are coming soon. So I'll take a few questions. Isam, maybe if you could maybe read out one or two questions, if there's any that you think it's important for me to address before we move on.
Yeah, there's a few suggestions about generators, and Ollie is on that. Some really good suggestions, and I think you do have space for that for later on, don't you, Peter?
Yes, we'll be talking about new generators later. So if you want to talk about new generators, that's very much what Jeff's session's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So any questions on the actual, anything else on the what I presented, or are we ready to move on?
Yeah, everyone loves the multiple choice quiz generator with YouTube.
Yeah, yes, that's something that we've been asked for pretty much from day one. It's very tricky technically, but we have an amazing team, and they've finally got that working and running. It doesn't work with every single YouTube video, so be aware of that, but it works with the vast majority. Matt Galton, what famous people can you select? Any famous person at all, Matt. You might even choose someone who's a bit semi-famous even. Basically, the way it will work is that the more information that's out there on the internet, the better a job it will do. So the more obscure your famous person is, the less good a job it will do.
There's a really good suggestion, Peter. I'm not sure if it's technically feasible. So with the one with ask someone famous, they want a voice output in their specific voice, in their specic voices, Peter. So you can imagine Vicky
with a 3D talking head of that. I want Ollie by next month. I want a talking Henry VIII 3D head with a Renaissance English accent, please very much. So yeah, that's the way we want to go. I can't promise it in a month though. Okay, so I will finish that's the end of my session, and I'm going to hand over to my very good friend and colleague and possibly the handsomest man in EdTech, Isam Babukan.
Flattery will get you everywhere, Peter. Thank you.
Who's going to do a deep dive into the marking rubric for us.
Thank you.
Okay, off you go, Isam.
Thank you. All right, let's do this. So I will share my second screen and from beginning, and let me know if it's come up. Peter?
Yes, it's there, rubrics.
Okay, excellent. So my session is about rubrics, and I think it's one of those hidden treasures within teaching, within FE, and not many teachers use it. And when you do explain what rubrics are, you know, teachers do get really excited about rubrics because obviously it can reduce their workload, which is really important, and it can improve students' work. And when we talk about workload, I was just reading an article the other day that 2 in 5 of, you know, UK teachers work 26 hours for free every day. And I am assuming that a big bulk of that is giving feedback and marking work. So rubrics are very, very powerful tools that benefit both the teacher and the learner. And by, you know, using rubrics effectively, you can unlock better learning outcomes and foster a deeper understanding of performance expectations. They make grading so much easier. They provide clear expectations, and it reduces marking time. But traditionally, what happened in my own experience is that when I used to explain to teachers what rubrics are and the benefits of it, they get so excited. But when they realize the amount of energy and effort it takes to create a rubric, they walk away. But no longer is that the case, because with TeacherMatic, and I personally think it's one of the more powerful generators within the suite of generators that is available, I think the rubrics really has the potential to reduce that work burden and improve teaching and learning. Okay, so for those obviously that have never seen a rubric, just consider it a table. Okay, so think of it as a table, a scoring card, and where you have these rows here on the left where you have the criteria. This was something generated in TeacherMatic, and this was for job interviews. I'm sure many of you do job interview rehearsals with your students, and whereas before they wouldn't know what they're being assessed against, so you would provide that rubric for your students before that rehearsal, before that job interview rehearsal. So within TeacherMatic, and we'll go through it, you put in the criteria. So I put here preparation, appearance, greeting, body language, communication skills, listening skills, questioning skills. So I put all the criteria there. And then the performance levels is from excellent to poor, and you can easily change that. And then, of course, you've got the cell content where it describes what excellent looks like and what poor looks like. Okay. And I guarantee you that if you give these rubrics before this job interview rehearsal, the performance of your students will dramatically improve. Okay, I guarantee it. I've seen it in action in the many years that I've used it. Now, as I said, why is it that teachers don't use it? It's time constraints. They simply don't have enough time. They just simply don't. They're just overwhelmed with too much to do. And it's also, they're not aware of it, and also the lack of training, and of course, the resistance to change. Okay, these are some of the reasons why teachers don't use it. And there are many, many benefits to using rubrics. Okay, consistent assessment. So the consistency, the rubrics provide clear criteria for the assessment. So when you use the same rubric for all the students, it ensures consistent grading. So you won't spend that extra time deciding how to evaluate each assignment. Efficiency, you can quickly match student work to predefined levels of performance. And focused feedback. So the rubrics guides your feedback. One of the sort of banes in my life was actually giving feedback to students. It used to take me so much time. And then the issue was that students would miss certain criterias. And I would have to repeat myself like a broken record player and say, you've missed this and you've missed this. And I'd have to go through that for 25 students on average per class. I would have 4 groups, and it used to drive me crazy. But introducing rubrics into my feedback and marking meant I just had to click in the boxes if I was using Teams for assignments, which you can integrate rubrics in. Okay, so let's just have a look at this rubric here, and we'll try and do a live demo also. So you just search for the rubric generator, you put in the assessment. In this example, I said social media platforms group presentation, and this is where it gets really powerful, where you yourself determine the performance indicators. Okay, and as easy as that, you click and generate, and in less than a minute you have a rubric that you can export to a Word document or a CSV file. As easy as that. So obviously we do, recommend that you use your professional judgment then to critically evaluate the output and also to amend it and improve it. So as easy as that, you export it to a Word document. You can change the performance indicators here, and you can amend all sorts of things. And then you can just print it out for your students, as easy as that. So the power of these rubrics is that you can integrate it within these different platforms and many more. But, you know, I'm assuming the vast majority of folks here in this meeting use Microsoft Teams. So you can attach a rubric to your assignments, but it also does turn it in and Google for Education. So let's have a look at that live. Very easy to use, just like TeacherMatic. Right, so you can search. Let me just zoom out here. You can, of course, scroll down, or you can just write rubric here in the search box. And then if it's something that you find yourself using a lot, all you need to do is just favoritize that, and it will always conveniently then show up here on the top for you. We are hopefully implementing a section here that will say my favorites. So anytime you favoritize a generator, it will show up here. Okay, so there's the rubric generator. If you haven't noticed, we've got a generator information there also. If you click there, we have now these interactive guides that go through the generator and give you additional information about the generator, just in case you haven't seen that. So now all you need to do to use a generator, you just click on use. And then here, I will just say group presentation. And this is, I think, one of my favorites, because what used to happen before I introduced rubrics is I used to ask my students to do group presentations. They would come to the front of the class. They'd be looking at the screen without even looking at, the target, the audience. They'd be giggling and all sorts of things. And then after their presentation, everyone would clap, and then the next group would just, present. And it was, in my opinion, a waste of an exercise. So by introducing rubrics, the students know what they are being assessed against. So I'm just going to make these things up. I think I always want to see an introduction. So you just put in your performance indicators and you just press enter. As easy as that. A bugbear of mine was always eye contact. They'd just be looking at the screen without even looking at the audience. So definitely eye contact. Now, subject knowledge would be really important, especially in this day and age of AI. Did they just go and copy all that information from ChatGPT, or did they know what they're talking about? And because it's a group presentation, did they collaborate with each other, an essential 21st century skill? Body language would be really important too. And did they use references? Yeah, I think that's an. And did they have a conclusion? Why not? Right, as easy as that. Something that would have taken me, honestly, a very, very long time. All I need to do is just click on generate and wait for the magic to happen. It really is a no-brainer, rubrics. As I said, I think it's one of those hidden treasures within FE. I do appreciate that HE probably use rubrics more. Okay. And we wait. Shouldn't take too long. There we go. Sometimes the AI, and this is to be expected, might not meet your expectations first time round. So just in case you don't know, all you need to do is just regenerate. And we are in discussions at the moment in improving this, where you can put your performance indicators yourself. So we're working on that. So you'll see improvements with this. Sometimes it produces this type of table, but if I click on regenerate, I'm hoping it regenerates in the format that I want. But you can see what it's done here. There we go. That's better. So all you need to do is just export this as a Word document or a spreadsheet. I'll export as a Word document. Click on open. And as easy as that, I'll just click on enable. I will just do some formatting. I need to save this. I'll do a file save as. I will save it, browse, save on my desktop. I'll call this webinar. And as easy as that, I've got the ability now to format this. The first thing I'll do, I'll just make it landscape. I will go to table design. I'll put a nice border here and I will shade the top. And I will make that bold. And then, of course, look at what it's done and just make sure that I'm happy with it. I can amend it and I can edit it now. Before that presentation, I would print that out, give it to the class, give it to the groups. And then additionally, what I will do is I will get the groups to peer assess each other's presentations. Okay, so that way they're peer assessing and they know what they are being assessed against. It's a bit, it's not in depth, and you can go to the generator and say in depth and it will, or you just click on regenerate. But once you have your perfect rubric for group presentations, maybe as a school, then you can just store that somewhere where all your teachers can access it, especially if you've, you know, come together as a group and say, this is what a great group presentation looks like. And as easy as that, you've just improved the whole experience. You've given the onus on the students to take responsibility for their, you know, for their own learning, and you've reduced your workload. And that, in a nutshell, is the rubric. So I've got a few more, got 1 minute. So if there's any questions, do let me know.
That's great stuff, Esam. Not so much, a few suggestions and lots of wow, isn't that amazing? So yeah, I think that certainly has hopefully given our the delegates lots of useful ideas as to how they can use the marking rubric. Okay, so we're next going to move on to our community presentation. Okay, Simon's asking for a CSV from 0 to 10 rather than 1 to 4. You can edit those numbers, Simon, but we might be able to look at some more options there. So now, Esam, actually we've got a change in order, and I hope this is okay with Steve Wildman. I've just had a message from Max Mullaney from City of Westminster, who's got a teach at 1, so he's asked if he can jump in first. So so swapping the order with Steve Wildman. So Max, if you want to jump in, and you've got 15 minutes to tell us all about the amazing things that you and your colleagues are doing at City of Westminster. And like I say, I've seen Max and his colleagues taught, and I'm blown away by what they're doing and achieving. So off you go, Max.
Thank you, Peter, and hi everyone. My name is Max Malime. I'm the curriculum manager for sport at City of Westminster College, which is part of the United Colleges Group. So I decided to bring in this TeacherMatic platform simply to create time for our teachers, because they need to spend more time supporting our students. Our students are from some of the most deprived areas in London, and we need our teachers and tutors to spend more time with them, supporting them through the course of study. So what TeacherMatic helps us with, it reduced our planning, administration, workloads, and generating resources for lessons. So that created time for our teachers up to, I would say, 3 to 4 hours a week. And they have used that time to engage our students more. We also use TeacherMatic to create resources in terms of for all of our units. So if agency teachers coming or new teachers coming, we have resources for all of our units that we teach, especially within our sports curriculum. So we have archives, so any teacher that comes in, they have a lesson plan, scheme of work, and teaching resources available for every unit. So it helped us in that regard. In addition, it helped us standardize our resources in terms of the quality of our resources. And so if you come into our department and from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 school, the resources are of the same standard and the same quality. So it helped with all of that. And another thing it helped us with is new teachers. It helped our new teachers a lot in terms of with their planning and generating resources for their lessons. We are hoping to, in the future, hopefully utilize this to with student feedback in terms of spelling and so on, and hopefully it can aid in marking and so on. So we hope that will come along. But overall, it's been transformational in our department. Our teachers have more time, like I said, more pastoral time for our students, and that was the aim, and it helped us achieve the aim, to be honest with you. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much, Max. That's wonderful. So, does anybody have any questions for Max about how they've implemented it, TeacherMatic, in the sports department of City of Westminster? So, yeah, Minnie, if you want to. Sam, if people put their hands up, are we able to turn the microphones on, or is it easier if people chat? So Vicky Loisha has asked, have you encountered any barriers?
Yes. So there are teachers that are resistant to it. I call them the resistance. They don't like anything to do with AI and so on. But yeah, we do have teachers that are resistant to it, to its use. One teacher very resistant, very against it. However, we do try to involve them in our training and CPD and try to convince them. We use our colleagues as well. His colleagues try to convince him and so on. But I think the main barrier that you will encounter is the resistance stems from lack of knowledge of how to use it or how to go about using it to make impact on your teaching, learning, and assessment. What reasons do they have? Basically, one of our teachers thinks it's cheating and it's not, doing things properly in terms of planning and resource creation and so on. But it's mainly down to being ignorant of how the technology can be used to make an impact. So whenever you bring in platforms like TeacherMatic to your organization, you also need to provide ongoing CPD training, like to all staff, and you need to get the staff that are resistant to it as well. We still haven't managed one member of staff to use TeacherMatic, so the member of staff I'm talking about, but we do get him involved in our AI training and so on, which takes place between during our team meetings. So everyone has to attend our team meetings and take part in those trainings. But yeah, you will find resistance.
Okay, thanks for that. So we've got a question from Zoe Tierney from Burton, South Derbyshire College. How do you induct new staff using TeacherMatic? Do you deliver a workshop or let them navigate the platform by themselves?
No, we actually train them. So we have two CPD slots that we use on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which are 1 hour each, and it's timetabled onto all our lecturers, teachers' timetables. So we use those sessions to do CPD on AI, basically, whenever we need to. So we have some specialists I'm lucky enough to have some experts, if you want to call them, in my department, who actually do the training for the rest of the staff. And they are self-taught, and they teach themselves all the hacks and so on. And they teach the rest of our staff. Not only that, we do training for other departments, the health and social care department, travel tourism, business development unit, what other departments, health and social care, public services. So all of these departments took on TeacherMatic because we brought it in, and we started to use it, and we showed it to our colleagues, and they were interested, so they signed up to it. And but we provide the training at the moment in our side because we have the expertise and the skill sets within our department, and I'm lucky to have.
Okay, next question from Nadia is, would you advise maybe starting with a particular tool such as a rubric, and then the whole department uses a rubric for a whole term, for example? So I think Nadia's suggesting an approach. What do you think of Nadia's idea?
Yeah, yes, you can. And you can also use, for example, if you align your teaching resources or lessons to basically what, let's say, Ofsted or lesson observers are looking for in a lesson. So all of our units or our lessons have to have, for example, an entry routine and then a starter unit and so on. So all these starter activities are, or do now activities, whatever you want to call them, are now basically generated for us by TeacherMatic for all of our units, and it's mainly multiple choice questions or like fill in the blanks and stuff, just stuff to get them going into the subject and to capture their knowledge and so on. So that's all done. So in all of our units across the levels, you'll find that, and that we use TeacherMatic basically to embed that. In terms of rubrics, yes, we use rubrics as well. I mean, they work well. They save teachers time. I would be mindful, however, of you need to be a teacher. You need to have teaching skills, TLA skills, before you start using TeacherMatic. TeacherMatic is not a substitute, for example, for developing and gaining TLA skills as a teacher. So that's my view on it, but it does help standardize resources and embed certain resources into your lessons that Ofsted are looking for, or lesson observers and stuff when we do observations there. So it helps align your lessons with what Ofsted are looking for by creating the resources that you need. It also can generate for you step-by-step guide on how to run an outstanding lesson.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Max. Does anybody have any final questions for Max before he runs off to do some teaching? So how would you encourage a team collaborative approach in TeacherMatic, or how do you encourage, because you've certainly got that approach in your team, how do you make your team collaborate?
It's driven by themselves, to be honest with you. I have two individuals who are very interested. I mean, they couldn't make it today. I mean, Peter knows them as well, who are self-taught in the fields of AI, and they do wonderful stuff with AI in their private lives and their professional lives as well. So I was kind of lucky to have them, and they basically help train the staff and share hacks, knowledge, new ways of doing things, how to create stuff quicker and how to get things done quicker. So and another way is even our new teachers that we have that start using AI, we ask them to maybe think of or learn something that they could do with the platform themselves and share it with others. So different people have different skill sets, but they all share, but it's not something that I driven. It kind of came about naturally, to be honest with you. I have a good bunch of staff that are, they collaborate, they get on well, and so on. So it's quite easy, to be honest with you, for me.
Yeah, from what I've seen from your team, Max, you've got a wonderfully collaborative spirit where you all really work together well as a team, and you've got, as you said, two fabulous advocates of AI who are really driving it forward and leading by example. And that I think has helped you do some wonderful things. So Max, thank you so much for your contribution today. We'll let you know, because we'll let you go because you've got a busy work day ahead of you. So can we all give Max a quick thank you?
Thank you.
Take care then, and see you soon. Okay, so we're now going to move on to our second college, South Staffordshire College. And Steve, if you maybe want to, we've got a video from Steve, but if you want to maybe just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the college and anything you want to say before we play the video, and then Sam is going to play the video for you.
Smashing. Thanks everyone for having me. First off, I'm Steve Walmer, Head of Digital Learning at South Staffordshire College. TeacherMatic, it's been nearly a year journey with us now. I think we've been from the start. And what I want to say to everybody here is it's probably been the easiest piece of software for staff adoption I've ever had the privilege of rolling out. Every staff member that we've had on the CPD sessions wants a license. And from that leads on to ELT, who have been really supportive here, because every time we have a CPD session, I go back to ELT and put under a business case forward, which they approve for more TeacherMatic licenses. So I'm going to Peter on a regular basis, can we have some more licenses? It's been really good. So ELT are really on board with it. Another department who are also on board with it are IT services, who are really 100% happy of how and where the data is stored, which is really important because I think we all know at the moment, artificial intelligence, it's a bit like the Wild West out there at the moment. But I do think the biggest sharpshooter and marshal in education is TeacherMatic. And with that, I'm going to close my comments and let the staff at South Staffordshire College with the video say the rest. Delivering CPD to our staff on artificial intelligence for over a year now. It started off with staff really poo-pooing.
It's a bit quiet, Sam.
And only seeing it as a negative thing from our learners' perspective and using it to develop assignments and a plagiarism tool, which they were really worried about.
Right, it is coming through a bit quiet. Steve, do you want to try playing it from yours?
Using tools like TeacherMatic to let's see if I can. Yeah, I'm just going to come back on then. Hopefully,
Sam, if you stop sharing, that's coming through a bit quiet, unfortunately. And Steve, we'll try Steve playing it, and if this doesn't work, I'll try playing it. So,
let me just go into it. I think I've downloaded it in my folder. It might take a couple of seconds just to upload into the pane. Give it a second here. I don't know where that's gone. It should be sharing, but I don't know whether it's uploading at the moment. Give us 1 second. Include sound. I'm going to just go into the video and share my screen. So you're going to see it come on a couple of seconds. Here we go. Hopefully, let's maximize this. We've been delivering CPD to our staff on artificial intelligence for over a year now. It started off with staff really poo-pooing the idea of artificial intelligence and only seeing it as a negative thing from our learners' perspective and using it to develop assignments and a plagiarism tool, which they were really worried about. What we did, however, we flipped that on its head and we started using tools like TeacherMatic to identify to staff how a tool like TeacherMatic can be used as a positive support mechanism for new staff. You're going to hear a couple of talking heads of some of the staff that have been using TeacherMatic at South Staffordshire College. And I think we're at a comfortable position now where over the course of all the CPD over this year, every time staff members attend a session where we introduce TeacherMatic, there is a request for another license. We're at a point where our last CPD session, we tied in our teaching and learning coaches who were talking to staff from the pedagogical side of how to create a smart target. And then we interspersed this session at the end with our digital learning technologies coming in and showing how TeacherMatic can speed up that process, and using one of the generators on smart target setting, they can create smart targets for their learners in a flick of a button. So I'm now going to hand over to some real life talking heads to let them explain better than me how TeacherMatic is helping them with their teacher workload.
Following the deep dives that are happening this year, we've looked at and we've found that target setting needs to be improved within the college. And we know that you've all got a heavy workload, so we're looking at ways that we can support you with target setting. So the session is based 2 ways. I'm going to give you the theory, well you're going to give me the theory of why do we set targets, and then Sue is going to show you what support mechanisms are out there that you can be using. I want you to start thinking about, why are SMART targets important? And what are the benefits of SMART targets to learners? Who's posted a comment for me?
I did.
Okay.
Well, it helps to monitor learner progress.
Okay, thank you, Mandy.
I've put it offers structure and achievable goals for learners.
Well done. Anybody else posted?
Yeah, I put that it gives them a sense of achievement and motivation when completed.
Good. Anybody else got anything else?
I've put help students focus on a specific area that needs to develop without being overwhelming.
Yep, good.
How many of you've got a TeacherMatic licence?
Everybody?
No. If you've got one, do you want to log into it, please? So how much have you used TeacherMatic, those of you that have got it? Lots, a little bit? A little bit?
A little bit.
I use it quite a lot.
Well done, you.
Made me a better teacher.
Have it?
Amazing.
Oh, brilliant.
Amazing.
What's been amazing about it? What's it done for you?
What's it done for me?
Yeah.
It saved a lot of time in the fact that pictures come up with the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah, by doing that helps, and then it gives you ideas then for what you can do for your activities, so you add into it then.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good.
Even like
I do
case
like
studies
it.
and such, it like can come up with case studies.
Yeah. Yeah, and activities and just everything. It's really good. If you've got an idea in your head, it just helps you a lot.
I've used it to sort of like generate questions for professional feedback. So I've used like just role model ones, and I've used the kind of like almost like the appraisal one to give some questions and a bit more guidance.
Done it. I've just put attendance in, just really basic one.
So if you've got a percentage of attendance and things like that, it'll make it more contextualised
It's
for.
actually put percentage in, and I didn't.
Oh, well,
I
brilliant.
didn't put percentage in, I didn't. So measure attendance to attendance rate of at least 95% for the academic year. I haven't put anything in other than attendance just to see what it would do.
Within the next 2 weeks.
Attend all scheduled classes and activities for the first term of the academic year. Okay, well, as one of the main lecturers in the Housing Department, I have a lot of responsibility for writing assignments, and I've never actually found anything that could really help me to mark the assignments quickly, efficiently, and to be accurate, and to be it's consistent as well. So I had a little look, and I do like things like this, so I had a little play, and then I noticed that you've got this SPAG and feedback on there, so I thought, well, I'll have a little go, let's just see how this works. And once I had a little play with it, and I copied and pasted some bits and pieces over, which I can show you in a minute, the actual information and the feedback that comes up from this generation that's generating the SPAG and feedback was second to none. It picked up all the spelling mistakes, it picked up conciseness, it picked up whether it was formal, informal writing. I think it's really good for level 3, where they need to be challenged a little bit more. Probably a little bit too heavy for level 1s, but certainly level 2s and level 3s. I found that the wording was correct for the level, and like I say, it was very consistent, so I could do a template of how I could then maybe write my feedback in a more consistent way. And yeah, so I just found it really easy to use, and yeah, I just found it saved me a lot of time. So with the SPAG feedback, if you just click on use, it will bring up the generator there for you. Now you can upload the whole file, however, I just trialed it to start with. So I would get one of my assignments, I'll just copy and paste this text over. I'll just copy that, go back to TeacherMatic and pop it in there. And then click the generate button at the bottom. Takes a couple of minutes, well, about a minute or probably a little bit less than that. And it will generate feedback on what went well, how they could improve, spelling errors, conciseness, spelling and punctuation and grammar. It'll just take a little while, but once it's there, And you can generate this over and over again, so it gives you a slightly different view. There we go. So here, what went well? The information presented is relevant and important for professionals in the salon industry, so it's completely relevant to the task that she was writing about. The writing style is clear and informative, making it easy to understand, which it was really easy to understand. And you obviously understood the importance of recording client responses and maintaining confidentiality. She then went on to talk about the Data Protection Act, which I could see, so she had a really good understanding. And then it just picked up on a little bit of spelling and grammar issues, not major, but there's some missing commas. And she used words like, I'm trying to think now, here it's got, she should have used on, should have been of, so it's a little bit of errors with her connecting words. You can do this as many times as you like. You can export it into a Microsoft Word or a PDF. So you can copy and paste that into the document. These responses are different each time. Oops, just missed that. So if you're not happy with that, you can do another one. You can save it, you can copy it, and it just cuts down marking. And when you've got 80 assignments, probably times 3, that's a lot of assignments to mark. So this saved me so much time.
You can see on the TeacherMatic landing page, there's lots and lots of different generators. The beauty of it now is they're being divided up into primary, secondary, vocational, higher. So every time you hit on a generator, they pretty much pull out the standard and the levels you want. There is a bit of granularity in there as well when you go in. But Sarah was one of the first people who went in and started piloting.
Yep.
Yeah. So Sarah, how was TeacherMatic introduced to you?
Through CPD day.
Yeah.
At the college.
When this was probably about 12 months ago, just about 12 months ago. Yeah. What were your thoughts? I know you're an IT lecturer. What were your thoughts about using AI as a tool to support you as a teacher rather than the learners?
At first, we were against it because the learners were using it to copy everything, unfortunately. But then we had the training on how to use it to our advantage, and that opened up a lot of avenues for us.
So was there much training needed to use the generators?
No, not at all.
Why would you say that then?
Because everything's self-explanatory, everything's written down.
What do you think the impact's been as TeacherMatic had on your workload as a teacher?
It's reduced it. It has reduced it. Because at the moment with staff being off sick. Yeah. I did all my lessons on Sunday. Because I had to for different teachers as well. Yeah, it helps as well because my specialism isn't my colleagues' specialism, so I might not know as much about something as he does, but I was able to create slides on something that he a topic that he's specialist in.
You found that TeacherMatic has made certain other tasks more efficient.
Yeah, so there's I really like the learning activities one. Okay. So again, you can say binary, maths, that kind of thing, and it gives me tasks that I can do with them that I haven't necessarily thought about, and I can also upload things that they've been doing in class, and it reads those as well and generates tasks based on things you've already been doing. Wow,
so you've given it a topic there.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. I tell you when it's really good. Today, I have some students in level 3 who are a lot more advanced than the others. Yeah. So while the others are spending an hour doing a task, it might take them 10 minutes. Yeah. So that I can come in and go, right, give me something else to do and give it to them straight away. Wow. And I have planned my extra work, but when they've run out of extra work, because they're so far above the rest of them, it gives you extra things to do.
What type of content would you say you're currently developing with TeacherMatic? Is it lesson plans, quizzes, interactive?
Activities, PowerPoints. I've used it for a couple of lesson plans. The multiple choice questions are really good. Yeah. Because I can print those out and give them out as well. Right. The flashcards are nice because we had to do some revision yesterday, Unit 2. Yeah. So it creates flashcards based on the topic.
Okay. Do you see yourself continuing to integrate TeacherMatic into your teaching practices in the future, and how?
More so. The more work I get to do, the more I'll use it.
Right. Yeah. So I know we're talking in the realms that there's new courses, new qualifications. People are going down the T-level route, and there's new qualifications, but you may not have a scheme of work, a lesson plan for. How could you see TeacherMatic supporting those staff who are going down new qualification routes?
Well, the T levels, there's not a lot of training out there at the moment for them, things like that. But if you put the high complexity on the PowerPoint generator thing, it will generate perhaps a level that you aren't at, that you're above where you are at, which enables you to train the students to a higher level.
Okay.
I'm a digital learning technologist in college, and I support lecturers and support staff alike with using digital resources to support them in class, to reduce workload and prepare our learners for jobs that haven't yet been conceived using technologies that are still in their infancy. We've all been asked to cover a lesson at a ridiculously short notice. TeacherMatic can not only plan the lesson, produce a worksheet, but it can also generate multiple choice questions that can be imported into apps such as Blockit and Kahoot, literally in under a minute. I started my teaching career 30 years ago, and what 22-year-old me would have done with TeacherMatic back then? For me, lesson plans ideas were sourced from books or through off-the-shelf generic schemes of work, and there followed hours upon hours of customizing for lessons. Damn it, half my life passed planning lessons and schemes. Fast forward 30 years and TeacherMatic can produce one for me in seconds. It's a time saver, a sanity saver, a life saver. Now, I can get a customised lesson plan at the touch of a button. It's not halved teachers' workload. I would say it's nearer to 90%. Of course, you need the idea, and AI is only as good as the prompt that you give it. And you need professionalism to select the bits that work for you in your class. It's not doing away with you just yet, but the difference is phenomenal. What I wouldn't give to be starting my teaching career with that in my teacher toolkit. New generators are being added all the time. As an English teacher with a passion for unusual local history, I asked someone's famous. I wanted to know what Erasmus Darwin, one of the founders of the Lunar Society, fondly known as the Lunatics, what their meetings were like. TeacherMatic produces an answer from the point of view of Erasmus. My son chirped up in the background as I was preparing this presentation. Does it only do real people, or can you ask a fictional character a question? Well, as you can see, the answer is yes. Count Olaf is the antagonist in a series of unfortunate event books, and there's a chapter about a man eating leeches on Lake Lachrymose. Rachel is one of the dozens of lecturers that I have introduced TeacherMatic to, and she, like everyone else that now has it, hasn't looked back. TeacherMatic is my first, no, only recommendation.
Hope you managed to hear all that, and I'm back in the room with you all.
That came through great, and that was just wonderful, Steve. And I'm sure you can imagine how much myself and my colleagues at the TeacherMatic team would have enjoyed hearing all those fabulous comments from your staff on how useful it's proving to be for them. That's just wonderful. So does anybody have any questions for Steve?
Said it all. The staff said it all, Peter. Not me. The staff said it all. Silence.
Right, so you can answer this one. I joined late after teaching, and the lady using TeacherMatic to mark work. So do you want to tell I know which generator that was. Do you want to say which generator that was and a little bit about it?
That was the SPAG generator. So again, as Mandy said in the session, she has to look at 80 plus assignments, and that gets submitted, resubmitted, backwards and forwards. Obviously, SPAG is a really crucial part of that assignment. And although you're looking at the context of the testing that learning has taken place, SPAG is really important. So dropping the assignment submission into the SPAG generator reduced Mandy's workload significantly, because it put in examples of where the commas were missed out, where the full stops were, spelling incorrect, are incorrect. So it really sped her time up quite significantly with just that one generator.
Okay, Sylvia Campbell. I think that's Sylvia from Bristol, I'm thinking. Is that right, Sylvia? Do you have a contact? Do you have anyone using it in maths?
We do, yes. I think Lee was in the video. I think he was talking in the background, and he was talking about how he was using it for maths generation of questions. So yeah, we're using it in maths and English quite well. We had a leadership day yesterday, and I presented some of the TeacherMatic findings there as well. And the director of English and maths has come over, and we're now going to be delivering sessions to, fully to the English and maths departments, so that it can be tailored to suit their needs as well, which it can already
Steve, do. We could do this afterwards. Could I introduce Sylvia to you, and could you put her in touch with some of your maths people? Sylvia's college have just started using TeacherMatic, and I think that she could learn something from the experience that you and your maths colleagues have got. So Sylvia, we'll get that sorted. Send me an email, Sylvia, if I forget, because I'm juggling so much new information here. Just remind me, and I'll do that introduction for you later. Okay, any last questions?
No. Hats off to you and the team, Peter, for making the tool and making teaching such a better experience for the staff and the students at South Staff. So thank you all.
Okay, cheers then. One last question from Vicky before we... Oh, Steve, you still with us?
Yeah.
Vicky Lloyd, what barriers did you encounter and how did you lower them?
Okay, so this was a really, really crucial one, Vicky. We had to get the poo-pooers of staff, as I mentioned, of using AI. And all staff were seeing it as a bad thing. This is going to, how can we test that all our learners are using the plagiarism, which we talked about. We introduced that to our CPD session at the start and talked about how AI, how you can identify, how you can test that AI has been put into an assignment by a learner. And it's very simple, really. If a learner has put in an assignment to the first one, and they put in 2 sentences or 3 paragraphs, and the next one they're putting this massive, huge assignment in, you've just got to start asking questions. So the questions the staff should be saying is, can you explain what you're saying about here? As soon as we got that over, and it's very simple, but as soon as staff got that, oh yeah, all I've got to do is ask the question, you tell me what you mean here. And then they moved away from the AI. They seen that instant barrier to it and the plagiarism issue. And then it allowed them to see that as an easy hurdle to get over. When we then introduced TeacherMatic and the tool itself, the barriers were gone. They didn't see AI. They knew that teaching again was in their hands and they can ask the questions. When we showed them how AI and TeacherMatic can be used to support them, that's when they embraced it.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, big round of applause, everyone, for Steve. That was an amazing, inspirational session, and I think just shows you how when you've got TeacherMatic driven by someone with the passion that Steve Wildman's got for supporting his staff and helping them engage with technology, and I've seen Steve do this with many things, amazing things can happen. So well done, Steve, and big thanks for all your work on this. Okay, so we're now going to move on to Leanne Howe, so from Gower College, Swansea. So Leanne, great to see you again. Leanne is...
Hello.
So Leanne, are you ready to go?
I am. Can I share a slide deck? Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just share your screen.
My audio is a bit iffy. Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, okay, great. That's fine. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to share a slide deck if that's okay, just to help illustrate my discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to click present, and hopefully it'll give you something to focus on. If it doesn't, I'll just share a screen, because you never know, these things never work. Okay, I'm just going to do screen share because it's easier. It's fine. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, we'll do a screen share.
Okay.
Is it working?
Not this yet. I'll just say I'm particularly looking forward to this presentation because Leanne is the first person I ever co-presented with on TeacherMatic, and you were doing some incredible stuff last summer. So I'm really excited. Right, that's coming through to see how things have progressed. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
let's
So
receive it in PowerPoint. Okay, grand. Just let's get everything going. Sorry, folks, you never need. Anyway. And so, as Peter said, I came to TeacherMatic quite early doors, actually. So hopefully the slide deck will run. So slow today, so I'll keep talking. I can ad lib. And we embraced it with 50 licenses at the beginning, and that took us to then look at our AI project. So I'm actually going to do, and what Jeff has asked me to actually do, is to share kind of the parameters, and some of the questions have been around barriers and things like that. And hopefully you will see approaches that you could maybe take to get over the naysayers or the resistors, as people have talked about today. So we tried TeacherMatic, and my role as a teaching, learning and professional development manager is to find the best ways possible to support my practitioners to get the best out of their learning experiences, to get the best out of their learners, and to ensure that we have the best learning environment we can, and as responsive, but without being overly burdensome. So AI, there is so much with AI. Okay, it's overwhelming. So we thought we'd dip our toe in with TeacherMatic, and we loved it. And it formed the basis for an AI project. So Welsh Government actually put out some funding for us to bid to secure an approach to support innovative artificial intelligence, to be recognised by the whole of the FE institutions in Wales. And I think that's really important to underpin our approach here, and I'll show you how TeacherMatic does that. We're looking for something that meets the requirements of the whole sector. That's what we're looking for as part of our bid. Okay, and I need to sort of bear that in mind. So we secured a bid, and we've got a digital 2030 strategy in Wales, and that's to ensure that we are providing digital learning environments for our learners. But to do that, we also have to get the digital literacy of our staff. And it's really important, and it's something I keep saying, AI is not going to replace a teacher, but a teacher that can use AI will. It's really important we get out of the front end of this. Okay, so that's something else I had in mind when I was selecting a tool. So we tried it, we implemented it. We tried it with 50 staff initially across all disciplines, because if I want something to work, I want it to work for everybody, because there's so much out there. If I'm going to support something, put training behind something, if I'm going to put extra guidance and investment, I want something that's going to work. So we tried it across a series of learning areas. We used it in all vocational areas, from motor vehicle to hairdressing. We used it in academic subject areas, humanities, maths. We used it for higher education. We put it into the PGCE, and we put it into work-based learning and anything else in between. We actually put it into our what we call independent living skills as well. So we piloted that tool, and I asked, and at the time, I think there were only about 10, maybe 12 generators at the time. So I asked for a period of 2 months for my teams to implement it, try it, and see how it worked for them, and get various results. It ended up forming the cornerstone of our project bid. So what we then did as a project, and if you look at the aims of this project, and I really want to cascade the aims and things, because if you're trying to work out how to approach integrating AI into your institution, sometimes formalizing it, even if you don't do it through a funded project, just the organization of it to get buy-in and catalyst is actually quite important. So what we did, first of all, was develop a representative AI working group. We had learner services, we had libraries, we had myself from teaching and learning, we had quality to assure staff in terms of the integrations and relationships with examination boards and things. We had a student body on there. We had bilingual, that's an important thing for us in Wales. We have to make sure that wherever possible, we are delivering a bilingual curriculum. And we had that output on there, and of course we had digital infrastructure. And somebody brought this up earlier on, and actually that our IT manager is really pleased with the security and the nature of this tool. And that's really, really important. And now we can get single sign-on, that's going to be really, really exciting. So TeacherMatic formed the cornerstone of this approach for us, and we wanted then to extend it the trial as part of our bid to integrate and test it against other tools. And they're going to cringe. I can hear Isam and Jeff, and I can hear Peter going, oh my gosh, what's she going to do now? But we tested it against other tools, okay? And whilst we were doing that, we are developing staff capability. So we developed a digital staff framework. And our digital staff framework is built upon the SAMA model, for those of you that are familiar. And if you're not, it's a pedagogical principle. So it's substitution, augmentation, modification, and transformation. And we built our framework to make sure we were bringing people in at substitution at base level. So the introduction. So really sometimes just simply accessing the generators and just making little generations. And we do it the same with PowerPoint, or we do the same with any other 365 tool that we integrate with, or other tools. And then we develop the training up, and we take you through different levels, and we show you how generators can work together, and we take you up that level. So all the time we are extending our pilot range out. We're going into the groups. We're using one lecturer in an area, then we're using another lecturer in an area, then we're using them to create a little triad to train other people in their area. And it is growing in momentum. And one of the things we're going to be doing is disseminating how successful all of the tools that we try are out to our whole sector at the end of the year. And, you know, that's a rough timeline, and we're just finished January, and I'm not going to go through all of that for a minute, but you get a sense of how organised our approach has been, because we want to overcome the challenges at every hurdle that we encounter. We really need to get over them, get in front of them. So having a structured approach to your AI integration is really, really important. When we're selecting our tools, this is what we were going out against. So wherever we've been trying, including TeacherMatic, we wanted the tools to be support learner assessment and support feedback. We wanted to make sure they support workloads, lesson plans, support learner revision, support digital accessibility and inclusion, and they are an enhancement, so they're not a burden, support curriculum understanding, check academic integrity, and wherever bilingualism. So we've got a really tough criteria. We're trying to make sure it pleases everyone. We're trying to make sure it satisfies all our learning areas. We're trying to make sure it's intuitive and we can build a structured framework around it. And then we're setting this criteria for the selection against everything that we're trying. Okay, and we're looking with a view that's working for the whole sector. So we tried loads. I won't leave this slide on for long, folks, but we tried lots. Okay, and we tried many more. Tried Mizu for chatbots, we tried Tweet, we tried Anywise, which is a podcasting tool, Magic School, which is a comparator-ish to TeacherMatic, and I say ish because I'll say why. So we tried a lot of these tools, and we're still trialing different ones. But I'm going to show you this. TeacherMatic meets all of that criteria as the last time I created those stands. TeacherMatic supports learner assessment and feedback. Rubrics, Isam did rubrics earlier. There was no discussion. It's actually one of my favourite tools. It does support teacher workloads. It does support personal development. It does support learner revision. It does support inclusion. That ability, if none of you have seen it yet, the ability when you're setting your the Bloom's taxonomy, the pedagogical principles that underpin everything that we do, and the ability to differentiate the resources by picking all the various factors, whether speech and language, whether it's English not as first language, or whether it is autism spectrum disorder. The ability to be able to differentiate those resources make it so much easier. It allows you to come from the principle of universal design, get the lesson right for everyone at the outset, rather than differentiate through the middle. It enhances the quality of learning experiences. Absolutely. Our teams are generating multiple choice questions and providing almost individual tests for our learners. No point would anybody be able to generate 30 separate multiple choice questions that could go on a Moodle to check a topic. We haven't got time. TeacherMatic allows you to do that. It's absolutely enhancing that learning experience. It does support curriculum understanding because the ability, and I know it was one of the things I asked very early on when I met with Jeff and Peter at Greg Unnog about the ability to link to criteria and specifications. It actually pulls out information. If you generate a scheme of work from a link take City and Guilds, for example, and there's a criteria for cutting curly hair, okay, it pulls out the structure from you, and you might not stick with it, but my gosh, it removes that blank page and it pulls out elements that you might have missed. Really super, especially if it's a new unit, a new criteria, or you are a new teacher. And it does actually help support bilingualism, and it's only going to get better because as AI does, it gets absolutely better because it learns. So I thought I'd sum up where our lecturers and different aspects of our staff are using it, and some of the top tools, I guess, from our institution. And our lecturers and our curriculum management, so they're still teaching a lot of them, and that also includes myself. Schema works, absolutely. And what my top tip with the schema work is, and if you're going to use it or try it, is TeacherMatic's really good. When you kind of really pull it apart and dive in with it and integrate it. So maybe you generate a 21-week scheme of work. Take that first week title that's generated and pop it back in and generate just a 1-week scheme of work. Oh my gosh, the detail it goes further into. And you do that for every week with a simple copy and paste. The detail that comes from that is extraordinary. Then you take some of the tasks that are generated from that scheme of work, copy and paste it, put it into a lesson plan, generate a lesson plan, and all you've done is from one link, one prompt, one criteria link, and you can use it to copy and paste. So the efficiency and the productivity, that's when TeacherMatic comes into its own. The multiple choice questions, like I said, the ability to generate individual tests, but then you can regenerate it because you can save the prompt. So you could have a really base level test at the start of a topic to measure learning, and then you can regenerate it with a simple toggle, keep the post, and up the difficulty and get an end of topic assessment or anything in between. You're building in your stretch challenge, you're building in your introduction. We actually are enhancing learning experiences. We're doing things we'd love to do that we never have the time to do. Discussion prompts are really great, and they're really, really good, especially if you're chucked into a cover lesson scenario or it's a new topic, because it allows you to think about how you might frame the lesson. If any of you are curriculum leads, team leaders, senior lecturers, learning area managers, curriculum area managers, wherever the lingo is, lesson observation prompts, thinking about how you can give that feedback, because it's cloud-based and it's on your laptop. It can be with you all the time. So you can be doing this in real time. Topic notes are really, really good. And then you can paste that in. You can generate PowerPoints from it. It's extraordinary. And I wanted to say where we're using it in work-based learning, because it really can be. So our teams are using it in those areas, but the things they're loving are things around prompts, target, and feedback. So the prompts are really good when they're out conducting a review. So they might be in somewhere like a warehouse, or they might be in a manufacturing plant, and they're using coaching prompts to be able to write their reviews live and have a better quality, and they're pasting them in. We use Smart Assessor as a platform, and they're pasting it straight in. Setting targets and finding different ways to set targets, and you can do it because you know it's with you, it's wherever you are, as long as you've got Wi-Fi access. And we've actually started using it with our management teams, so our support staff, and using targets and CPD development is really important. Coaching prompts, mentoring prompts, all that has been a huge success. So it can be used across the piece. And these are just a cluster of a couple of comments that I've collated when people have been using it. And this is there, somebody's picked it up there. You can bring old resources to life. Sometimes as practitioners, the resistance comes because I spent a whole summer creating that set of resources. But if you can upload an existing case study or an existing PowerPoint or an existing Word document and regenerate multiple choice questions from it, or topic notes from it, or a lesson plan from it, that's when it's really clever. Okay, it takes away that blank page, and it's really, really important. I'm very conscious of my time. So in my view, why TeacherMatic is better based on all the other tools that we've been using. The fact that it's so responsive and it's bringing loads of generators, and the team themselves are really responsive to feedback. You can have it in the background because it allows you to be responsive. If your lesson is absolutely bombing and you need to look for a new task, an extension task, if you're covering a lesson, it's there. Okay, it's at its most productive though when you use these multiple generators and you use the results from one generator to another. I built, and it was one of the things I did with Peter, and I demonstrated when we were in, and I forget where we were, at the BLC conference, okay? And I demonstrated how I took a lesson prompt, generated a scheme of work, took a scheme of work prompt, put it into a lesson plan. From that lesson plan, took an activity, generated the activity in the activity generator, took the results of that and put it into topic notes. From the topic notes, I generated flashcards. From those flashcards, I was able to generate a rubric and all sorts of things. Okay, and how we've approached it and to get over it, done bespoke inset. As I mentioned, it's part of our staff digital framework. PGC students have access to it. They are used and they support it. And, you know, they're guided and they use it as a study buddy, because we have to make sure that they know how to plan and structure the lesson. But my gosh, it really does help them, like, you know, get over that initial, how could I tackle this? What different way could they approach this? We've got a Prosper program. We in FE don't necessarily have an NQT program. So internally, I've written a bespoke newly qualified lecturer program, and we integrate that. So once they've qualified on their PGCE, we are integrating using AI in a positive way to help enhance and think about how you're doing things, and we use it through mental support. And that was just to illustrate that we do integrate it, if you can see it, as part of our staff digital framework. And if you haven't tried them yet, these are my actual two favourites. Okay, the new one that's just come on, Reflective Practice, amazing for new qualified teachers, amazing for PGC, really is important. And actually, after people have had their observations, that's where I'm going to be really excited to use it. And the rubric generator. And what's really great is you can create different folders for each set of feedback. All the little tools that are now being added in, savings, regenerations, say the ability to save your prompts, create folders, all of those things that demonstrative of our TeacherMatic have been fantastic. And that's when it becomes productive. So that's why it's for me. There we go. I think that was on time for me.
Fabulous, Leanne. Thanks so much. And that's just really inspirational. I mean, you know, like our other ones, it's just wonderful seeing the different approaches that different colleges are taking and the different ways that it's making impact. And it sounds like you're doing some incredible work in getting it well used across your whole college. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of questions. Are you able to share a little bit about how it helps with independent living skills, and also how's it being used in hairdressing?
Yeah, so can I share my screen again?
Yeah,
because I've got something in the background. Because I've got my generator running. So, as if by magic, what have I got? Can you see it, Peter?
Yeah.
Super. I kind of will illustrate it the way I was just talking. I'm going to take a scheme of work, so I'm going to talk about hairdressing for a moment. I'm going to say cutting curly hair. So it's a particular module. Okay, obviously, I'm trying to be efficient with time for everyone right now. Safe cutting curly hair. If I wanted to link to the City and Guilds cutting curly hair specification, okay, you can see how quick I'm doing this. I'm just going to copy and paste that specification. Oops, wrong place. Okay. And I'm just pasting that link in here. I've put cutting curly hair. Topic that I'm going to put in is techniques. I won't be able to spell that because I'm online. It's always the same, isn't it? You can't type when people are watching.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have had a worksheet available as well, so I might have uploaded that. I might only want, I'll put more detail in, but I know lots of people are probably using the generator, so I just want to be illustrative. I might want 2 sessions on cutting curly hair. Okay. Using this toggle, I'm going to put it at, quite a high level, and I'm going to generate, hopefully. Talk myself again. But we have done this for, we've done it for hairdressing, we've done it in motor vehicle, we've done it for cookery, we've done it for our Multiply project, which is our numeracy project. We've done things like cooking on a budget. We've used it and given it to our staff that go and deliver in the prison. We've actually done a lot of, there we go. So safe cutting curly hair, and it linked to that specification. So if you have a look, it's pulled out the key topics, okay, that are important and are part of the specification. So it's understanding different curly hair types. I'm going to save that generator for a moment, okay, and it's linked the resources as well, which is really awesome. I'm going to save that result for a minute in hair. They're the least team I've been working with lately. And I'm going to illustrate what I mean by cross-utilization. So I'm going to now, just from that single prompt, I'm going to take understanding curly hair types. I'm just going to copy and paste, and bear in mind that's just been generated. I'm now going to go to topic notes. I've got time to do about 3 generators, Peter, really quickly. Is that all right?
Yeah, okay. We're a bit behind, but we can
Oh,
catch
no,
up later, don't worry.
I just want to just do that one. So I'm just going to do that. I want 5 topics. I've just put that in. It's just... I haven't changed the complexity or anything because I just don't want to add any time. Okay, so it's given that topic. So it's given a topic of recognizing different curly hair types. Okay, I'm going to save that result, but I would do it. What I would then do is I would jump into really quickly. I'm doing it very, 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 very quickly because there's so many on here now, and I get like, oh my gosh, there's just so much. I'm a learning activity. Okay, and you could pick any old thing. But can you see I've just done it from prompt. Okay, and I might upload something else. I'm going to look for 2 activities just to illustrate the point. But it can genuinely work because of that uploader facility, because the ability to link to URLs for the, you know, because you can upload existing resources and it pulls from all these bits of material. That's when it becomes really efficient. And it will generate, but I just want to show you that single prompt idea. And for ILS, it's exactly the same. So you can break down your ILS curriculum. There we go. And it's giving some ideas, prepare a quiz. You could put that into an MCQ here. You could ask students to do observations. You can get them to write rubrics, peer review rubrics themselves. That's another tool you can do from in here. You can ask them to do compare and contrast, create a worksheet, do it on here. Okay, you can do loads of different things, generate the specific object from it as well. And for ILS, you can do exactly the same thing. So you can take a topic and it might be financial independence, or it might be working customer service basic skills, or it could be learning how to greet each other. So yeah, that's the kind of thing you can do.
Fabulous, Leanne, and I really like that kind of jump from 1, 2, 3. And I remember you were talking about that the first time. And
that's when it's productive.
Yeah, so it's a really good tip, everyone, and have a go at the sort of the Gower College Swansea model of starting with a schema work and then jumping into the different tools from there, which I think is a really powerful way to use TeacherMatic. Right, big round of applause, everyone, for Leanne. I think that was a fabulous, inspirational session, and lots of nice feedback for you there, Leanne. Okay, and if I can move swiftly on, we are a little bit behind, but don't worry, we can take it out the last bit, which is an open discussion. And Beverly from Hull College is next up. So thank you for being so patient there, Beverly. And you've still got your 15 minutes, don't worry.
Oh, don't worry. Well, we'll see how we go. So first of all, thank you so much. I've really taken a lot from today already, and it's actually been a TeacherMatic day for me, but I'll come on to that soon. So I've got a PowerPoint that I'd like to share, if that's okay. So it'll just take me a couple of minutes. Okay. I'm hoping.
Yeah, we can see that.
Can you see that? It's okay. So I'm hoping I'll put the sound on as well, but we'll get to that bit. Okay, so just to introduce who I am, my name's Beverly Watson and I work at Hull College. I'm one of the quality managers here, so maybe a slightly different aspect. I'm just going to discuss how we've embraced TeacherMatic, and a little bit like some of the others that we've been hearing from, like Leanne, we started with 50 licenses, and so we are slowly increasing that and rolling it out more effectively. So in my role as a quality manager, I'm there, I do teach still, so I've still got a teaching role, so I use it within my own teaching, but I'm here to support new staff when they join the college and in their journey of becoming lecturers, and also we do deep dives, and obviously part of the deep dive is the learning walks, and from them we do action plans for teaching staff, and those action plans are for all teaching staff, so if they get a really fantastic lesson or whether they get a lesson that really hasn't gone as well. So the first one that I'm going to share with you, hopefully if this works, just take a couple of minutes to load, is a member of staff who I did a learning walk on. Can you just let me know if the sound doesn't come through?
My name's Ben Warnock. I'm a science teacher at Hull College 1416.
All good.
TeacherMatic was introduced to me by Beverly after a deep dive session, learning walk, where I was struggling to engage a lower end class. And I've managed to use TeacherMatic to produce question prompts, which is one of the things that I primarily struggle with when it comes to trying to engage a class, trying to find the correct questions that can, stimulate the students' brains and, get them to engage with the actual work as well. And that was one of the things I was struggling with in one of the lower end classes. And once Beverly introduced this to me, I was able to use the AI to produce reams of questions essentially, and I would choose from those and I'd keep them printed in front of me, especially for the lower end classes, where I really needed to figure out some questions that I could I could engage the class with. And I liked how you can particularly because you can change the prompt, you can manipulate it so you get questions of a lower ability level, which still aren't just yes or no questions. Additionally, in science at 1416, we do a lot of multiple choice questions, especially in the foundation tier. And most of the students in this college do foundation tier, but very few do higher. But sometimes when we're doing topics on Exampro, which is the AQA exam question bank, we don't always have questions available for every single sort of area that we do. However, any single topic can come up as a multiple choice question. And using TeacherMatic, I've managed to produce multiple choice questions in a similar format to what AQA would do, and printed them out and given them to students who have then practiced their multiple choice techniques, looking for keywords, etc., using these questions, which are then able to apply in the real exam and in subsequent mocks, which have been fantastic. Overall, it's significantly reduced my workload. I mean, there are other things that I've used it for too, here and there. Those are the primary uses that I've mentioned. But honestly, it has been quite a useful tool, just for getting otherwise fairly time-consuming things done, when we could be spending time on other things, either particularly in science, preparing practical work, marking, and other related things. But overall, I think TeacherMatic is a fantastic tool, and I would recommend it to anybody. Thank you very much.
I just love that. I love the fact that he has gained so much confidence from using TeacherMatic. Just looking at that video though, I didn't have time to edit it like Steve edited his really well. So maybe that's another generator that we could look at, how to edit videos that you're making. But it is, as you can see, that staff productivity and the student expertise, the effect that it actually and the impact that it has on the students, and that's what we're always aiming for, isn't it? Everything we do impacts on the students, and so if they're having a much better experience because our staff are using TeacherMatic, then that's our top priority. That's fantastic to hear. So we're really looking forward to seeing the exam results this year in science, and just seeing again if we can kind of capture some of that impact. So here is another one we've got. This is another member of staff that's been using it, and this just makes my heart sing, this one.
I started using AI because my ADHD means I find it really difficult to get started with a task. And I find those blank pieces of paper when you're planning or creating a new document really intimidating. However, the American-based models were really frustrating. they just didn't mesh with UK teaching. So I now use TeacherMatic. Every time I go on, there's something new. I'm learning about it all the time. I started off using it to help me create objectives that were more in tune with the powerful language of Bloom's and less what happens in my jumbled heads when I know what I want my learners to do. Most recently, I used it to create a marking rubric so I could mark off exactly who had achieved what in a module and know who'd passed and who'd exceeded expectations. And I created a simplified version, which meant that the learners could tick it off for themselves and do self and peer assessment. Well, I say I created it, actually TeacherMatic created it. You will find that you need to adjust things and you need to tinker with what TeacherMatic makes for you. It's a teamwork rather than it doing the job for you. But if you're someone who can work better when you are given something to edit, given something to change to your own needs, then TeacherMatic's invaluable, and I really, really enjoy using it.
So again, that was a member of staff that was struggling with her teaching and has actually come to us from another organisation where, and you know, the support that we've been able to put into place, not only with TeacherMatic but a couple of other tools, has meant that she has found a way to teach better and to really still be enjoying education, whereas before she was struggling. And she talks a lot when we talk to her about the different needs that she has and how that's always been a problem for her, and this is just a tool that is supporting her individual needs, which is fantastic. So what we do is we're trying to now really embed this across the college. We're nowhere near where Max is, unfortunately. I wish we were, but you know, what he's saying is it's about this ongoing staff development. Now that we've increased our licenses, we've got this opportunity to do that and to really make a difference with it. We do an AI academy, and within that we feature different aspects of TeacherMatic. So our AI Academy runs fortnightly. Not every staff member can make it, but we video it as well. We have a Teams channel, we post about it. So we use that, which is really good to share best practice. Today is our CPD day. So this morning I have done a TeacherMatic session with Terry, my colleague, and the staff feedback from that has been really good. They were doing, we got them to do it practically as well, so they were creating different things, and some of the questions that they were coming up with, in fact Leanne has answered, and we need to start getting better with putting things back in and taking them from one place to another place. But the other thing that we're starting to look at is how it can, I mean, we don't just have teaching staff on there, you know, lots of other staff around the college are using it, and I've had a rich conversation this morning with one of our LSA team and about how they can use it, and that's something that we're going to investigate further, because, you know, there's the tools in there. It just covers so many other things. We've been talking about how they can use it to help them with emails, smart targets. It's just, yeah, it's amazing. And what we really need to do is to get staff going back into it, because when they first had the license, there was half the stuff there. So there's so much extra now, which we need to get staff to see that. But the buzz from this morning, that is going to happen, and we're going to be in a place where this is going to be standard. I think it was really interesting as well what we were saying about staff being concerned about AI, and we're taking it as we embrace it, because like I put in the chat earlier, students have always copied and pasted. There's just a different way of doing it now, and you can tell, you absolutely can tell. They don't know when they've put something in from AI, particularly sort of our level 2 students. They're not competent yet in changing that to make it undetectable. higher up the student are, obviously that's slightly different, and I think that's a huge challenge in HE. FE, they're not quite there yet. They don't know how to hide the AI that they've used. I think that is, I've got a couple of different other staff members. These are a lot shorter.
As a quality manager, we signpost our new staff to TeacherMatic to help them build resources and plan lessons.
Hi, my name is Kerry. I work at Hull College. I teach level 3 advanced nail technology. Just been using TeacherMatic, and I've put in polymerization into multiple choice questions, and it's a brilliant quiz, and yeah, it went down very well.
I'm Sue Turvey. I teach the early years programme. I've used TeacherMatic to do schemes of work, to produce quizzes and starter activities for our students. It's been really helpful. It's saved me loads of time. Brilliant, thanks.
I think just one of the things that I forgot to mention is another learning walk that I did on a member of staff. Their students' vocab skills, technical skills were quite low, and I suggested to them, one of the actions that I gave to them was to use a glossary of terms. So I think it is really it's so useful for us to pick up the different parts of the lessons that they can improve on, and how TeacherMatic can help them do that. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Beverly. That was great, and really good hearing from your staff. I think something that particularly struck me was your colleague with ADHD, and that aligns a little bit with the video I shared earlier with Leanne, who was open about being neurodivergent. And I'm wondering if TeacherMatic perhaps is a tool that is particularly useful for staff who are neurodivergent, and that's probably something that we need to look into. And just if any of you got any feedback on that, or perhaps something for you all to look at, because it would be great to. So Daniel's. I'm seeing that's another example there. So thanks very much for sharing that, Daniel. So that's great. So that's given us something else to think about in a really positive way. And I speak to Deb Miller, your colleague, regularly, and hearing some great things about what's happening with TeacherMatic. And congratulations, you've just won a Beacon Award as well. So well done on that. So has anybody got any questions for Beverly? Natalie as well on the neurodivergent theme. Any questions? Lots of comments, but not questions at the moment. That means he must have explained everything extremely well there. So, okay, so can we all say a big thank you to Beverly?
Thank you
for a really, really interesting and useful, inspiring showcase of how Hull College are doing some great stuff with TeacherMatic. We'll look forward to keeping an eye on that and seeing how things continue to go on. You've got a great team there with the two Debs, I'm sure it'll be onwards and upwards. Okay, so back to the TeacherMatic team now. I'm now going to invite my colleague Oliver, who's joining us all the way from Indonesia. Ollie is our amazing technical leader, one of the TeacherMatic directors, one of our core team, who leads our technical team, who have done all of the building of this incredible platform that we're getting such wonderful feedback on today. So Ollie, tell us about what's coming up soon, or what you've done recently.
Hello everyone. So quite a lot has happened since the last of these webinars. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So firstly, I guess a lot of stuff has happened which I can't really demonstrate, and then a few things have happened that I can. So when I say behind the scenes things, I mean things related to AI being such a fast moving technology. We've implemented a lot of new language models that are available through various generators. Back in January, we upgraded most generators to use more up-to-date language models. So that involved a lot of testing, a lot of making sure that outputs would still work in the formats you can output as. And we've also worked on a lot of fine-tuning and consistency in terms of what comes back, what you will see as a user. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff, which will mean that either your outputs will be better already, or in the coming weeks and months that they will be better and more consistent. And then onto Microsoft authentication. This is something that's really important to a lot of you, and it's something that we released, I think, a week or two ago. It essentially lets all your users single sign on and immediately get into the site. So instead of needing to sign up, the first time you click that sign in with Microsoft button, you'll be asked to share very basic user data with the app. As soon as you've done that, it will immediately sign you in, whether or not you have an account. This should work with almost all Microsoft organizations. So far, we found that because of the very little personal data that we're requesting, most organizational policies will allow TeacherMatic in already. Otherwise, you may need to contact your system administrator just to allow TeacherMatic as an app. The other thing, which goes kind of hand in hand with SSO and authentication, is our LTI integration. So if you wanted your teachers to access TeacherMatic through your BLE, through Moodle or Canvas, we've created an LTI integration which handles all of the account creation, all of the authentication. So users never need to worry about creating accounts or logging in. They just visit, for example, a TeacherMatic course on Moodle, and they're immediately in there. And users, however users are created, whether that's through Microsoft or this LTI integration, you can manage those users via the administration section, just as you can now if you're an administrator. So you can see this user that I'm LTIing in as at the moment is on a free account. So you can remove licenses from users, you can allocate licenses to users in the same way that you can do currently, however that user got into TeacherMatic. We've done quite a lot of work in terms of the organization of generators. Some of this has already been released, some of it is on the way. So we've now got a list mode, we've got some additional categories, which I think Jeff will go into in a little bit more detail. And we're soon to release a feature which lets you navigate between generators a little bit easier. You can describe what you want to do, and we'll suggest the generator that's most appropriate. You can get kind of a sneak peek of that functionality at the moment through the How Can TeacherMatic Help Me generator. We've also got various administration tools available. So now, I know it was quite burdensome at one stage when you have enough users to manage who's allocated a license and who isn't. So via the organization members tab of your TeacherMatic backend, you can export all of your users, you can change their license status via the CSV, and you can re-import that. So there are various ways you could manage it. You could do it via a VLOOKUP, or you could just do it manually, depending on how many accounts you're looking at. But essentially changing the license allocation in the CSV will let you import that and automatically handle what many of you are probably doing via this interface. As an administrator, you'll also see an organization LTI tab, and that gives you all of the information you need to set up an LTI integration if you want to. Additionally, this may not be relevant if you're using Teams, if you're using Microsoft SSO, but you can force multi-factor authentication on for all of your users. So previously, users could turn off multi-factor authentication via their profile settings. Now, Peter touched on this already, but we've now got YouTube inputs that actually work. So previously, we were relying on AI to either know or not know about the content of a YouTube video. Often it wouldn't know. So now we've integrated a different system which essentially passes the content of the video and details about that video, such as who the author is, when it was released, various other useful information that may impact the outputs. We pass that to AI and get the results back. We're working on better signposting for this. So it was implemented very recently, and we haven't yet made a big deal out of it or mentioned in any of the help text that you can use this, but we're looking on a system that will identify YouTube URLs and kind of signpost that they'll be treated differently. And then on to upcoming features. So I just added this before this very last item after Leanne's presentation, because it's great to see people copying and pasting, copying results from one generator and pasting them into another. But we've got on our pipeline something called a meta generator, which will essentially string generators together. So the simplest example I can think of is the course title description scheme of work generators. So there'll be a meta generator which will walk you through each of those, generating a title, tweaking that until you're happy with it, and then based on that title you're happy with, generating a description, and then based on that description generating a scheme of work, etc. So hopefully that'll smoothen out the process of copying and pasting into various generators. We've also got an Android and Apple app, which is almost ready for release, with the various ways that users now get into TeacherMatic, i.e. Microsoft, via the front end. We need to make sure all of those are integrated into the app before we release it, but that is something that should be available soon. We've also got various accessibility improvements in terms of the generators page, things like a more contrasty color scheme. We've got better signposting for finding generators. Now that we've got so many generators, we acknowledge it's getting a little bit difficult to identify ones that might be useful. So we're working on various functionality to make that easier. We're also working on increasing the diversity of the PowerPoint output. So currently it's quite a static, output. I'm sure many of you take the information that it provides and turn it into various things on the slides. It's a good starting point often, but we are working on making it create different types of layouts and different types of information. So lists, bullet point lists, various other things that just make it a better end product. We are implementing a more diverse array of language models to suit the needs of specific generators. Again, this requires a lot of testing, but where the output can be improved by switching language models, we are testing that process and implementing different language models where appropriate. I've said Moodle app here, but I really mean Moodle plugin. This is in the pipeline as well. So we've got the LTI integration, but there are certain limitations when it comes to LTI in terms of, for example, generating multiple choice questions and then having those inserted into the question bank in a course. That wouldn't be possible through LTI. But we are developing a Moodle plugin which will allow that kind of functionality. It'll probably start quite simple, targeting just a few functions, and then with time we'll add functionality to that. Various iterative improvements. We're getting feedback all the time from you and from members of our team, and we're tweaking things all the time. And we've also got those meta generators in development as well. So I think that was a really quick whistle-stop tour, and we've already got to the questions slide.
That's wonderful. So I've got a few questions here for you, Ollie. There's quite a lot coming through. So firstly, Dagmara, being dyslexic, I find it difficult to navigate, and is looking for, can we do that thing like you can do in Moodle, where you can sort of change sort of black on white and white on black and change? Would we be able to do something like that?
Yes, that is that's on our roadmap as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so that is. We're also being asked about the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint thing is really tricky to work with because AI isn't really designed to output PowerPoints, and the guys are doing amazing stuff with it. But Dee's asking, can we make the PowerPoints meet accessibility standards better?
I'm aware of this request. It's potential we can make it better. For example, we can potentially include alt images, but making it perfectly accessible will probably take quite a long time. It's difficult because the range of tools available to you using, for example, Office aren't available to the software we use to create the PowerPoints. So we're a little bit limited. We're trying to slowly improve it and hit the kind of low-hanging fruit like alt text. But it's likely that, if it's for more than delivering in front of a class of students, you'll probably need to still do some things yourself.
Okay, and Marion is asking whether we could have different PowerPoints layouts, such as bullet points.
Yeah, that's something that's coming quite soon. I was discussing that with the team just earlier today.
Matthew is asking about, I'll read this out. If I ask ChatGPT directly to generate a lesson plan, I can ask it to reshape the generated result, altering and adjusting the content to meet my needs. Is this facility available within TeacherMatic, or is it in your plan going forward?
It is. So I can only really describe it at this point in time, but I described the meta generator would allow you to, for example, generate a course title and then use that after you've adjusted it to make a course description. So part of the process of creating the meta generators, we are implementing an improvement interface. So this need arose from the lesson plan generator. The lesson plan generator allows you to, it often outputs learning objectives. But we've got a learning objectives generator, which essentially gives you a load of really useful settings to improve the output. So with time, we're going to identify areas of the output. For example, in lesson plan, we'll identify the lesson objectives. You'll be able to hover over those. It'll open up a modal window, and you'll be able to refine certain parts of the output.
Okay, next question I've got, I can answer this one, from Vicky Lloyd. What's an LTI? An LTI is it's an international standard for connecting tools into a VLE. And so what we've got with TeacherMatic is a very simple connection. So you can embed TeacherMatic within Canvas, Blackboard, Moodle, etc. And as Ollie said, we're looking to build those into a much deeper plugin later on. And via Rika, sorry if I'm mangling your name there. I know exactly who you are. You made me laugh at the SET conference with your vampire stuff. Are you envisaging including running live worksheets via QR codes, quizzes, booklet, word wall, quizzes, Kahoot? That's a tricky one.
That is a tricky one.
Email Ollie, and I think that's one to have a bit of a think about, isn't it?
Yeah, drop us an email. I think I know the kind of functionality you're talking about, being available through other tools, but I don't think it's something that necessarily is a TeacherMatic function.
Right, and another, oh sorry.
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, another question, a technical question I'm pleased I can answer. Dagmara, when exporting multiple choice questions, I cannot see Google Forms. Oh, I didn't see the Google, damn. I cannot see Google Forms as an option. Will this be an option? You'll have to answer that one, Ollie. You can with Microsoft Forms because you can import a Word document. I don't know Google well enough. Have we looked at this yet, Ollie?
No, but I know they work in a fundamentally different way to the forms we support currently. So we've made a note from earlier in the meeting. I think this request came up earlier, so we will look into it, but no promises at this moment in time.
Yeah, we are aware we need to improve our Google integration. It's not as straightforward as the Microsoft by the sound of things, but yeah, we in time. I mean, as you can see, we are working on so many things at the same time. We've got so many requests, which is, and you know, you're seeing that so much is appearing all of the time. So we can't promise all of this soon, but everything is noted. Yeah, so we've had some feedback from our staff around a PowerPoint generator. The images produced don't always match the topic. Relating to, you know, for example, brickwork presentation, I had no images of bricks. Any tips, Ollie?
Yeah, so you can specify the keywords for the images that are returned through the PowerPoint generator. So it will try and extract the, it'll try and determine which images to generate based on the title of every slide. But if those slide titles are a little bit cryptic and don't give a good indication that this is about brickwork, if the title is, you know, history, when really it means history of brickwork or whatever, the images may not be super specific. But if you put into the keywords, sorry, the image keywords box brickwork, it will then use that to supplement the what it's taking from the slide titles and refine those results.
Okay, and I'm going to take one more question from Viorica. Can we now filter users in admin by users last access or who is subscribed?
That is some good feedback. I'll make a note of that, and I'm sure it won't take a lot to implement that feature at all.
Right. Okay, thank you, Vampire Viorica. But right, Michael's got one last. This will be the last one. I often use image generators like Midjourney or DALL-E to create images for dual code content like keyword concepts and definitions, and was wondering if TeacherMatic will get an image data like this at some point to facilitate dual coding.
I can't make any promises there, Michael, but it is something we're considering. So right now we're pulling from a Creative Commons image source, and potentially in future we will implement AI image generation if the price point is right.
Yeah, I think that's the key, that if any of you subscribe to anything like DALL-E, you know, you're paying 20 quid a month and you don't get a massive number of images for that. So now remember, you get TeacherMatic for £30 a year. And so creating AI images is expensive, uses a lot of processing. And so, yeah, we as Ollie said, it's going to need to get a lot cheaper before, if we put it in at the moment, technically it would increase the prices, and you wouldn't want that. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Thanks very much, Ollie. You can see Ollie's email address there. If you've got any questions, please email him. And I'm going to hand over to my final colleague now, Jeff Elliott, who's coming all the way from Pembrokeshire. And Jeff's going to facilitate a session looking at the generators and the platform. So off you go, Jeff.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Just share my screen. I'm conscious of the time.
Don't worry too much, Jeff. We can just do the final session a bit shorter. So you've still got 20-25 minutes.
Okay, so
screen's there.
Can you see my screen now? Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So what I want to do in the next 20 minutes is take you through some of the new generators. Peter's already mentioned quite a few, so I'm just going to talk about a few other ones. I want to talk about some of the new generators I'm going to show you haven't been released yet, so but it'd be interesting to get your feedback. I just want to reiterate this point about co-design and what that means is that the ideas come from you guys, not just from our good ideas we have, you know, in the evening, whatever it might be. So we're interested in, it's really important that you understand that co-design is important to us. And on that basis, I'm going to reiterate how you provide feedback and why it is important to provide feedback. And then I'm going to turn this whole thing over to you. And I want, I mean, there's been tons and tons of great ideas coming through on the chat. And I want to capture that in a bit more structured way with a poll at the end. And that's probably going to be the main point of what I want to do. So if I'm just going to quickly talk about a few new generators and then move on. So one of the things that taxes us, and Ollie's already talked about it, is the navigation of the generators, that we now have goodness knows how many, dozens and dozens of generators. And how does anybody try to find a new one or a different generator to the one that they've been using, or one that's just been released? Now Ollie's and his team are working on some great ideas, but we're just trying to experiment with something to see whether that helps at all. And it's actually a generator that advises on what generators might help your situation. So I'm just going to cross to can you see a TeacherMatic page now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this thing, it's at the top at the moment. If you haven't got anything that's been favoritized, how can TeacherMatic help you? It's not going to be there forever. It's only really an experiment, but we'd like to see whether the idea of it is going to help. So for instance, you might have something like, I want to run a revision session. And what this will do now is it will actually look at all the generators and work out which ones might be helpful to that query. It doesn't at this stage link to any specific generator, which would be a nice addition to this, but it will give teachers some ideas on some of the generators they may not have considered in the past. And what you can do with this as well is to you need to iterate through I want to. So you might want to revise that I want to run a revision session and make it more specific. Like I want to run a revision session on whatever it might be, sort of the history of World War II, wherever it might be. And I'm sure you've all come across this now, and this always happens when I decide to do a live generation, is that it's going to take longer than I thought it was going to take. So that's not what I wanted to see. So here's one I did earlier on. So you might want to say run a revision session. In this instance, it will come up and give you some ideas. You might want to do then is modify the and in this instance, yeah, it's giving you sort of why didn't you use flashcards? Why don't you try the true and false generator? We might then want to sort of make the prompt a bit more specific and regenerate. You could, and this is just a first iteration of this. So, for instance, those people have also mentioned about learning needs. We could add learning needs into you. And you could add in as a kind of like a first step is I want a revision session on beekeeping, and I want it to be specific to learners with dyslexic or on the autistic spectrum. And when this runs, again, it actually provides slightly subtly different advice to those users. So I would be really appreciative if you try this, experiment with it. It may not be a forever. We might come up with some other ideas, but just to see whether this has any value at all. There's a new one called the induction booklet. There are two. I don't think this is available to you yet. And this induction booklet, it provides, as I think one of the ladies earlier on who said she has ADHD, and starting with a blank piece of paper is quite challenging. With the induction booklet, what this does, with a set of keywords, it will come up with the outline of an induction booklet for a course. But it simply is a very, very skeletal outline, but it's at least it's a starting point rather than a blank piece of paper. So in this particular instance, you put in the name of the institution, whatever that might be, what the course title is, any specific landmarks in the college or wherever the course is running, like for instance the library or the sports field or wherever it might be. Where do they go to get help on timetables? Where do they go to get help on student life? Is there any online learning or so forth? And then you click the induction button, and it will produce some output for you. And obviously you'd export that like you're familiar with now to a Word document, and that gives you a starting point for working with producing an induction booklet. The reference writer is a nice one. We've had lots of requests for references, and we are looking at a specific one for UCAS referencing, but the reference writer will write a reference for anything. So it will write a reference for someone on a student placement or work placement. It will write a reference for a learner who's graduated and has got an interview for a job. So with this one, you enter the characteristics of the person who you are providing a reference for. Of course, it could be one of your staff who's got a new job or is applying for a job within the college. As with lots of the generators, you put in your characteristics and use the enter key to make sure that they go in. Anything else useful information that should be entered, like for instance, if they got a driving license or some very specific qualification, which is helpful for the purposes. And what's the purpose of the reference? So that could be UCAS, and so it'd be interesting to see some people try these out to see whether that actually helps for UCAS, and whether we actually need to have a specific one for UCAS, or is this sufficient? Click the generate button, and someone mentioned about GDPR, and do we pass any personal information over to OpenAI and the large language models we use? No, we don't. But if a teacher puts the name of a person in there, that may go out to the large language model. We insist that they don't do that. And in this instance, you can see it's used for the reference, it's used X to mark the individual, whoever that might be. And obviously you'd search and replace that with the name of the individual. So that's the reference writer. The report writer is for to help you write reports for learners. So what happened there? So don't put the name of the learner in there. Put some sort of shorthand for the name of the learner, what the subject is, what their strengths are, what the areas of improvement, and any other additional information that you want with respect to that report. And click the generate button. And it produces the backbone, the skeleton of a report for that person or learner. We have another one for drafting a policy. And again, this will produce a sort of a skeleton of the varying degrees of detail. What's the policy for? Social media, sort of the use of AI, for instance, is a good one as well. I've used it as an example. Wherever the policy's on, who's it directed at? And for many of the people here today, will be further education, and what amount of detail do we want in that report? So, for instance, if you want to write, you just want headings, then you would put in least detail, and you would just use this report as the policy as an outline rather than as something more substantial. Click the generate button, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the need to click regenerate if you're not happy with something, or copy and paste this into the document, regenerating and copy and pasting that into the generator. Right. We are also working on generators which aren't necessarily focused on learning and learners, but is more around the needs of managers and administrators within the college. So we've got a suite of HR generators which are just going through the test phase now, and they'll be launched hopefully within the next 10 days once we've got some feedback, and I'll come back onto that in a second in terms of co-design. There's another generator which I won't talk. Someone mentioned in one of the talks about their staff needing to think about how they use AI. So there's a generator there which we could make live, which is about getting people to think critically about AI. I'm not going to show it now, but it would be useful to have some feedback on that. So if I can go back to this point about co-design then. So we've had, just for example, we've had a number of colleges have come to us with very specific needs. They don't necessarily, they have a very specific model for like lesson plans or learning objectives or schemes of work or and so forth. So we are open to working on dedicated generators for specific needs. Obviously, that doesn't come free, but it just illustrates the point that we will work on a dedicated generator. So, for instance, we work with one college, Harlow College, where they have a very specific model of how they handle learning objectives and learning aims with their model of called 4 Steps to Success. So you will notice that there is a generator there called 4 Steps to Success, and it's an alternative to learning objectives. Those are sort of gives you a broad brush of some of the new generators that are coming out. If I can just you can see that we listen to you all the time. And that's why my next slide is something I'm going to really need to impress upon you, is how important it is to provide feedback. Now, Ollie put up the support email address, so if you haven't got that support email address, we'll provide it again in the chat. Perhaps Ollie or Peter, if you could put the support email address in the chat pane. It's really important to us that we get feedback as part of this co-design process. So after you've used the generator, you will see give me feedback, and we would encourage you to use that button to provide feedback to us, not just on that generator, but how that generator might be improved, and also any new generators, which I'll come on to in a second. So if you click that button, you'll get this box. And it's not just a case of just clicking how satisfied you are with the generator. This feedback is important. And we've seen loads and loads of that in the chat today about people saying, it'd be great if the generator did this or did that. Well, if we had that in that field, if we had that information in there, then we can get together with the development team and we can review those comments and see how many of them we can respond to. So it's if I just reiterate, feedback is important as part of that co-design process. So that's all I wanted to talk about in terms of new generators and the how you provide feedback, importance of co-design, and you as a community need to tell us what you want. And so it's now for that opportunity to happen, because I'm going to try to use a poll to get all the ideas that you put into the chat. If we could capture it in a more structured way through a poll, that would be really useful. And one of the things I'm very concerned about with 50 or 60 generators and growing all the time is how do we make it easy for teachers to be able to find new generators or something unique. And I've given you some examples about how we might do that using a tool, an AI tool itself, to make suggestions. But what ideas have you got? So if I can just go back to Teams. Now, make sure I've got this working right. If I try to share this poll, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One idea what generators you might have, and another what ideas you have in general. So fingers crossed this works. I've never done this before, and that's always a mistake. So if I launch this, I'm going to launch it now, and we'll give you 5 or 6 minutes. So if you've come up with any good ideas in the chat, which are quite hard to pick out afterwards, enter them into this poll. So I'm just going to click launch, and then Peter or one of the team, if you could tell me that it's working. Has that popped up on your screen?
It has, Jeff. That's very clever. So,
right,
so this is for us to. It's an online form for people to fill in and give us new ideas. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you a few minutes just to fill this out. I think it may even do something clever like create a word cloud. I'm not sure.
We'll find out. I'm intrigued to see what this does, Jeff.
Maybe nobody's got any good ideas. Right, so I'll give you one more minute, and it looks like I'll move on to the second question then if I've got nothing coming through.
I think it seems to say maybe there's 11 responses. I don't know if that number 11 means saying how many people have replied, Jeff, next to view poll in the chat.
I haven't got that. Let me go into the chat.
Yeah, so if you have a look at the chat, go into the chat and you can see it says view poll and 12 people have replied. Right, at 13. Yeah. Natalie, have a go. We don't know. We've not used this tool before. See if you can submit more than one.
I can't.
So,
it's supposed to create a word cloud, but I can't see. Can I submit more than one? Yeah, if you go ahead, Natalie, just keep on submitting stuff. It's not letting. Oh, right. That's very irritating. There is a word cloud. Why can't I? Can you see the word cloud?
I can't see the word cloud. Maybe you've got to fill it in before you see the word cloud. Put something in, Jeff.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Someone's got it.
Yeah, Jeff. If you put something in, then you can see a nice word cloud. So shall I share my screen, Jeff, or do you want to? Can you get it on yours?
Can you share your screen, Peter?
Yeah, hang on a second. I've got to come out of it now to share my screen. Hopefully I can get back in again.
An open text poll would have been better. Okay, well, I'll take that on board, Minna.
Okay, so you see that? You seeing that, Jeff?
No, I can't. All I can see. No, I can't. But you can see it, though, can you?
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't. But it's somebody's got it shared in the chat there. So can you see that?
No.
Oh, right. Well, it is there. We have captured those things. Shall I read some of them out? Let me read some of them out. Matching cards, bilingual resources, primary new ideas, targets for tutor group questions, health tasks, level, math starter activity generators, English and Welsh.
Okay. Let me move on to the next question. Thank you for that, everyone. If you've got any other ideas, please email support@teachermatic.com. Handwriting practice, that's an interesting. So the second one then is ideas for new functionality, and I'm particularly interested in navigation and on how we might be able to help people find different generators. At the moment, the process for approving generators, we have a team of testers, and once we've drafted a generator, we send it out to those testers, and once they provided feedback, we make it and we make some changes, and then we make it available to the community. But what we could do is just make them available in beta, and just accept, and then anybody who uses it accepts the fact is that the generator is in beta phase. So I don't know whether people would think that that's a better idea of how to go about co-design, is that you make something available in an earlier phase. Parallel text in a range of languages. That's an interesting idea.
Jeff, if you have a look at the chat, you'll see I've just posted an image from the second question.
Okay. Yeah, it seems that ILS and SEN and specific learning needs is a focal point for a lot of people, isn't it? Yeah, I can't do it. I've got the question on. I got the question on there, but I can't do anything with it. Maybe it's only the person who's who opened the meeting in the first instance.
Hey, Sam, are you able to help with this at all? I mean, I think we can see the image there. So you can see in the chat.
Right, I think we're going to leave it there then, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah. I think move on now from there. Is that the end of your session, Jeff, or do you want to take some questions?
Oh, now I've got the word cloud. Can everybody see the word cloud?
What, in the chat?
No, on the screen.
No. Yeah. So the way it works is like when I shared it, you can see it, but it's not sharing that particular thing.
Can you unshare? You unshare it, Peter.
I'm not sharing at the moment.
Right. Okay. Well, that was an interesting experiment. It didn't go quite according to plan, but we now that I've got that data, then I can go back and have a look at what people have said. And if you've got any other ideas on how we might make navigation and how we might make it easier for teachers to find new generators as they come on board. I mean, within another few months, we're going to be we could be upwards of 100 generators, and that can be quite a bewildering number of things to look through. How do you make it so that teachers can find things which are useful to them, or they may not have known? Maybe one of the ideas is that you have like a generator of the week that just pops up at the screen, or generator of the day that pops up at the screen. What do people think of that as an idea? Is that so that at least every generator gets its day in the its day in the limelight, as it were. Okay, yes, I think that's about me done, Peter.
Okay, does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask Jeff specifically about the generators and how we might be improving them, or any suggestions that they'd like to share?
Raymond, your idea of a what-if generator, is that, did you actually submit that, or is that only in the chat? That's a great idea.
So Mina's suggesting doing it by sections, e.g. all generators linked to lesson planning, all linked to assessment. And I think that is something we're considering. The challenge with that is that sometimes generators fit in more than one category. One of the things that I've got the team to do, which isn't brilliant, but it's useful if you know a generator, but you have to try to find it, is to be able to sort generators alphabetically. Oh, that's a good idea. Handwriting practice accessibility tool from Raymond's coming up with some great ideas. So you've got your creative juices flowing there, Raymond. well-being, mental health tasks. So yeah, we got some really, really useful ideas here, everyone. So thanks very much. Saying spotlighting a tool of the week, and I think that's a really good idea. AI marking tool, that's certainly something we are considering. It's a huge job, but we know there's a huge amount of demand for it as well. It's not going to be appearing next week, I can tell you that, but we are certainly, it's on our roadmap. Okay, so we'll move now to the different games generator, the final part, and we've only got another 10 minutes or so, which is a kind of open forum, and kind of just really flows on from this particular session. So is there anything that you wanted to say to us? Any other sort of ideas? Anything that you'd like us to be focusing on, or is there anything you'd like to tell us about what's happening in your college? So what's working particularly well? Perhaps if you can think about one thing that's working very well in your college, or you'd like to share one tip for something that you've done in your college that's worked well, please pop that in the chat, or if you want to pop your hand up, I can turn your microphone on. Okay, we do have a hand up, so let's see if Minnie. So let's see if I can turn Minnie's hand on. Isam, are you able to turn a hand on for me? I'm not.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yay, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I can't put my camera on because you've closed me off, but that's all right. I won't take offence. We found that using when we first introduced TeacherMatic to our teams before we onboarded with you, we did focus groups of key teachers across the board trying this platform out, and it's from their buy-in, and then we generated interest. We had a staff development day. Isam came in and showcased the wonder of TeacherMatic, and what that did was, after we launched it, even our most reluctant teachers who thought AI was going to take over their jobs, when they started using it and saw the benefits and the creativity that came out of TeacherMatic, it's just a big changer for us. It's been massive. We've had 85% engagement within 3 weeks of registering. So we've had 85% of our registrations already been taken up, and people are arguing about who's going to take the rest of them that's left. We're going to have to come to you for more, Peter. But it's been really, really
licenses.
Yeah, no, but it's been absolutely brilliant. What we are doing is we're looking at our staff have been using mainly the lesson planning, the multiple questions generators. They love the functionality of getting the multiple choice questions and uploading it onto forms for it to be self-assessed. So that's been a really big game changer for a lot of people. I'd love integration into quizzes and things like that. If you start working on things like that, you'll make me a happy lady. But yeah, so we've had a really positive experience at the moment, and just keep them coming. This is brilliant.
Okay, well, thanks so much for that, Minnie, and really appreciate that that feedback. Anybody else want to put their hand up and share anything? I'll just have a look through some of these comments here. Dee, thank you for that. You are brilliant. I love the way you're sharing and listening as a company. Thank you very much. That's what we're all about, Dee. We're all from further education. We all love education. We want to do everything we can to make the lives of teachers easier, and that's our kind of our goal at the moment, and we're doing everything we can to do that. And it's lovely seeing this feedback. Thank you, Michael, for your feedback. Scheme of work generator proving very useful. Thanks, Vicky, for your comment there about how useful you're finding this. Russell's got a comment from one of his lecturers. TeacherMatic, what can I say? Absolute revelation of resource. I wasn't really aware of AI. However, as soon as I got going with it, I was instantly hooked. So it's a very long thing. I won't read it all, but that's wonderful to see. Okay, I think we're coming up towards the end. It's been, for me, a wonderful session. It's been great to you know, particularly seeing how the different colleges are implementing TeacherMatic and the different approaches. You know, you can see quite different ways in which people are implementing it and the different ways in which people are being successful with it. It's been fabulous, and I'm sure, you know, the whole TeacherMatic team are going to be delighted and enjoy our weekends and Friday nights with all of the feedback that we've received. Any of my colleagues want to come in with any final comments before we say goodbye?
So thank you very much.
Okay, cheers, Sam. Right. Ollie?
I can't think of anything. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Well, big thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being part of this amazing community. And we will promise you we will keep on working as hard as we can to improve TeacherMatic, to make it do all the things that you want it to do. And you keep telling us what you want it to do, because that's what drives us. And on that note, I'll say goodbye.